Arts and Adventure Summits the airwaves. This is the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show with
Todd Oberndorfer.
I am R. Brandon Long. We are your hosts for the greatest arts and adventure podcast in all the land. In studio with us now, I don't know, maybe quite possibly the greatest head brewer in all the land, Jacquie King Wright. Do you go by full name or what do you?
Jacquie King. I thought
King.
at some point in time I thought I was going to hyphenate it, but
Yeah.
it's really hard to change your last name, and why bother? Especially if you're an established professional. So nope.
Yeah, when Brandon and I partnered up with the band he collected, he wanted me to take his name, which seemed weird at the time. I never did.
Todd Long just sounded better.
I just
never
never
did.
did.
Todd Long.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe a hyphenate, but I got to keep that long last name.
Connor has been called Connor King a few times, and I'm like, yes, his last name is King.
Yeah.
King is
Yeah.
a powerful
It's
name.
a powerful name.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I like that a lot. So, Jacquie.
it's our holiday episode.
Yes. We're kings. We're all kings. now.
We
all
three
kings.
We three
kings.
kings.
Oh my gosh.
Head brewer at Ogden Beer Company and going on your 1 year anniversary. So we'll talk about that. Also, I have a snow report and Todd has arts news. I'm assuming I didn't check with them first. So
Did you say snooze or news?
snooze or news? Oh, look at it's
Arts
focused.
news.
It is focused on the beer that you brought in instead of your faces. So
Oh, no.
camera
This
three
one
is
here?
just yep.
Okay, I'll
If
set it
you
over.
snag that one, now it's just focused on metal. So I'll have to readjust that anyway.
Oh, the things we do.
The things we do. Anyway, Jacquie, thanks for coming into the van with us. Or the van, this is a trailer, Banyan One trailer. We are going to talk about, well, first of all, we're drinking some beer that probably has your name on it somewhere. I don't know. A Mexican style lager. Do you want to tell us about what we're drinking here today?
Yeah, so this is one of our flagship beers over at OBC. So it's the Cultura Cerveza Mexican style lager. This one might taste a little different than maybe your Pacifico or Modelo because it is truly a German style beer that we brewed with North American adjuncts. It's great, crisp, easy drinking, and lagers are the way to go. So
Now, there's something particularly Ogden-y that I feel a little taste. There's like an essence of Ogden. What is it that I taste in a beer? Like, what's a local effect of where you brew?
So you definitely, in Ogden, we actually we do get an Ogden flavor to our beer. And I mean, it's true of any area. So if you're not
Water?
using water, it's
Okay.
water. Exactly. Yeah. If you're not using reverse osmosis water. So if you're not taking everything out of your water profile and building it back up, your beer, if you brew up here, will have that Ogden flavor. And we love it.
Can you, just a little bit of dog food in the water,
If it's done right.
If it's done
If
right.
it's done right, yeah. Just a hint of a dog food factory.
Oh, God.
And then maybe if the wind is blowing from the west, a hint of the Great Salt Lake.
Those two together make a hell of a beer. You know?
Yeah.
That's
Shrimp
what-
and dog food.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't replicate that, and you have to just do it here.
Does that explain why every beer in Ogden has won just every award on the planet? You know?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the dog food.
It's the dog
It's the dog food. No, I think everybody in Utah makes fantastic beer. We definitely have the greatest snow on earth, which leads to the greatest water on earth.
So we have to go back
Yeah.
a little bit further. When was the first time you were on one of our shows?
Oh man.
Do you keep track of that? Do you keep track of that, Brandon?
Well,
How
I remember
far
a
back
van
does it
being
go?
involved.
There was a van involved. It was probably 2016, 2017.
And I know at least
That-
one of the, because you've been on a few times.
Yeah.
I know at least one of the times we went paddleboarding because I remember that.
Yeah, that was probably 2018. I think the first one was at the old Slackwater by
At
the
Slackwater.
river.
That sounds right.
Then I went to outdoor retailer with you guys.
We had fun there.
Yeah,
That
I
was
have
fun.
pictures of that. That was awesome. That was a great time.
She's got receipts. On
I got
that one.
receipts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pictures she'll release if.
Yes.
Oh, behave.
But yeah, I think it's been a long, great trip with you guys. So
Well, it's been fun following your trajectory as well. And you're exactly where you said you'd be all those years ago.
yeah, this was kind of always the plan, was to be in charge of something. So
Well, yeah. Well, talk about that. So you threw out the acronym OBC. So Ogden Beer Company for
Yeah.
those who are unfamiliar. But you're in charge of what over there?
So I'm the head brewer. So I am in charge of everything beer related over there, from the menu, the styles, kind of even what markets we're trying to push into, the vibe with the beers. So it's It's great. Total
How do
control
you-
over liquid.
That's a lot though. Just, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's like, okay, so how do you narrow it down? I think you mentioned to me before the show that you had a profile that you liked that you thought would do well. So talk about that and how you sort of came up with, because I'm thinking just off the outset is there's so many beers. There's so many things you could do.
Yeah.
So like, how do you get started?
So leaving my prior brewery, Roosters, who I love everybody there, great brewery, and coming over to Ogden Beer Company, it was kind of always my thing to watch trends and see what the beer industry was doing, and maybe, if possible, stay ahead of it if you can, which is, that's a reach goal, right? Like,
well,
can
that's
you be
like
ahead of
in
it?
retail, because, they also buy, like we bought for in the outdoor industry a year in advance. So how do you stay
Yeah.
ahead of these things?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
exactly like, how do you forecast? And it's just watching what other markets are doing. We were kind of talking about this where we're close to the West Coast, but we're not on the West Coast. The West Coast does see a lot of new styles, kind of starting early. There are a ton of breweries out there. East Coast too, but the East Coast styles are a little different. And they gain popularity out here in Utah quite a bit later than anything on the West Coast. So really it's watching what they're doing, watching what people are drinking. And we kind of saw a change in the lineup of beers. People started buying large packs. So, the 12 packs, 6-packs weren't that popular. People wanted mixed packs, or they wanted like suitcases of beers.
Mhm.
If you want a suitcase of
You
beer,
can't have enough beer. You need
you need
suitcase.
all the
Yeah,
beer. You
all
need
the
a
beer.
suitcase. So like 18 packs. That's,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those that don't
Does
know.
it say beer on the side?
Yeah,
Done.
done.
Okay.
A suitcase of beer. But that, like, what that tells you, again, like in forecasting and like planning out what next season looks like, is people want drinkable beers. People want beers that they aren't just going to be like a one and done. They're looking for repetition. And in that, you have to think stylistically, this is something that is easy drinking.
So that contrasts from, would you say, the heavy IPA phase and then which moved into the sort of the hazy phase there, and when did that phase out?
I definitely think COVID had a lot to do with everything. Your crazy high points, your price point on an 8% triple dry hopped 16-ounce hazy IPA is pretty high. So like if you're worried about your spending, if you're worried about consumption, people have started to kind of go down to like less expensive 5% beers. And what's an less expensive 5% beer that's great to make? Lagers.
Mhm.
So we're definitely lager focused over there. Also, as a brewer, you can't hide anything in a lager. You can get away with some like technical mistakes, maybe like not great water quality here and there, with like a heavily fruited triple dry hopped sour IPA. You can hide a bunch of stuff in there because it has a bunch in it. Lagers at their core are super simple. Any mistakes that you make, if you're rushing that beer, anything that you do to that beer is going to come through in the final product. So it's been really cool to be lager focused and lager heavy, and just kind of show people what Ogden beer is, and also what Utah beer is.
So the lineup right now that you're brewing at OBC is what?
So right now we're just doing all 5%. That will change in 2024. We'll release our first high point. It's tentatively scheduled to be released in February, so that'll be fun. But we have 5 core beers. We have a tangerine wheat. We have a hibiscus ale. We have a Mexican lager, an American craft lager, and then we only have one flagship IPA, and it's a cold IPA, which is also like a hybrid ale lager. So those are our core beers, and then we just rotate through. We've got 5 other lines and then a nitro line. So a total of 11 draft lines. And you'll come in and see probably at least 5 or 6 of those beers will be lagers.
What's your day look like? Are you just like cleaning all day? Are you bossing people around all day? Like what do you get up in the morning and go do?
Oh man, it honestly depends on the week. My favorite weeks obviously are like coming in and brewing, getting to be on the brew deck, doing like what ultimately is like the love of my life, brewing.
Yeah.
Well, the love of my work life. I have other outdoor loves, my dog, my husband. But yeah, the thing that gets me up is when I get to go brew. But a lot of it also is, dealing with the federal government on label approvals, dealing with the state on label approvals, licensing, planning weeks out, talking to distributors. So it's it's a lot of
Beer administration.
beer admin, and then like a little bit
That
of beer
sounds horrible.
manufacturing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But necessary.
Beer admin.
But I
sounds
do like the
horrible.
idea of a brew deck. This is now the podcast deck. I think we should refer to this.
I love
whole
that.
area.
Yeah.
I like that.
I do like
What's
that.
the brew
idea.
deck look like over there?
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Stickers.
So no, not a lot of stickers. It's
Okay.
still like pretty clean. The restaurant
Cleanliness
itself,
is everything, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to have such a clean brew house. The restaurant itself is like stickered up, but we have not started to like tag the brew deck with stickers. But the system over there is pretty automated. I'm very lucky and spoiled to have such an automated system. So
Robots.
Meaning what?
Robots cleaning.
Robots cleaning?
Yeah,
those-
I wish robots cleaning. I do still have to clean, unfortunately. But no, it's a fully touchscreen computer.
automated. Okay.
Yeah, like pretty
okay.
automated. We've got air actuated mechanisms that open and close valves. So the majority of the time that you're brewing, you don't actually have to manually open or close any valves. There's like one step where I have to actually open 2 valves. So other than
So
that,
when you do your first AI beer, you let me know. I want to try that one.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
yeah.
Can you do that? Can you just type into, I'm sure you can, into an
If you
AI?
can't yet, you will probably
well,
someday.
Now I
give
know
me
what I'm
the
doing.
ingredients for a blah, blah, blah beer and then brew it, Jackie, and then see if it turns out.
Yeah. Well, now we know what we're doing tomorrow. So yeah, just text me some words, like
Okay.
what are keywords? What style do we want it to be? And then I will look the recipe over and tell
I
you if
want
it's garbage.
A Buffalo IPA. Let's see what the hell is that?
All I think about right now is nog. So I'll be honest, I need some essence of nog.
That's
That's
a good,
pretty much
good
all I
time of
think
year
about.
for that. I
And
hear.
Yeah.
granted, we're down to 6 days of it, so it's going to have to be quick. But
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the nog.
I can't turn around a nog beer. Can't turn around a beer in 6 days, sadly.
What's turnaround on beer?
If you are not using, there are some additives that will break down some precursors to some bad flavors. But if you're just full on brewing regularly, 10 days is going to be like your absolute minimum for an ale. Lagers, I love to see a 6-week lager. That's my kind of minimum. If you can do it, 6 weeks for a lager.
Wow, that's a
So
long time.
It's a long time. That's why you don't see a lot of breweries that are lager focused, especially in production, because you tie up that tank, you can't touch it for a month and a half. I mean,
So you need a lot of tanks?
yes, you need a lot of tanks. Mexican lagers are a little bit of a younger lager, more of a Keller beer, if you will, a young lager. So they don't tie up the tank as long, which is why that, our 3 beers that we will go to market with is the wheat ale, the hibiscus wheat ale, the Cultura Cerveza. So again, it's kind of a young lager, and then our cold IPA. So those will be the 3 beers that will hit grocery stores in 2024.
Yeah, now talk about that because that distribution's everything.
Yes.
You got to be on grocery shelves.
Yes.
Right now, you're not?
We are not.
Okay.
The canning line that we inherited was designed for a smaller, not production brewery. It's a great canning line, but it's not, you can't keep up with production on that. So we do have a newer canning line that is sitting in the brewery right now, and it will be installed January 9th. And we will be canning that entire week. That is all we are doing that week, and we will send beer into market at the end of that week. So
do you already have that agreement then with like a distributors and stuff?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we want this beer in these places.
yeah, yep. We actually we currently have we have shelf space at two grocery chains that we can't fill right now. But we will.
You just go there and stand in the middle of the
I
aisles.
just look
like,
at
this
it.
is going to be ours.
Like, this is ours right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So literally the second that it goes to our distributor, it will be going out to those chains. So
You need help on those canning days?
we definitely could use help if you guys want to
good-
come
good
down. If
point.
anybody wants to come down.
Yeah.
April's done that. She helps
Yeah.
out every
Yeah.
now and again. There's a few down in Salt Lake that she does every now and again
Yeah.
because it's not like it's an everyday thing. But
Mhm.
when they need some help, I think she's really good at it. Might
Back
be
up
fun to see.
line canner. What is that job?
It would be like probably load off, like
Load
canning
off.
load off.
I'm a good load offer.
Yeah.
We've always said that.
So you load off all your responsibilities to everybody.
I'm a load offer.
I just want to see you try to keep up. That'd be the best thing, yeah.
Okay, very good. Jackie, I mean, you've got the lingo down, and so I just imagine you, your first words were like brew this and brew that, and so you know, by the time you were 3 years old, you fully understood the brewing industry. But seriously, when did you pick up on it? When did you start thinking this is what I want to do, and how did that happen?
I definitely always loved beer. I always
In the
tell
womb.
in the
In the
in the
womb. We go way back.
womb in the womb. I did. So I lived in Germany for a while. My dad was in the army. So it's a different culture over there.
So pretty close to in the womb, basically.
Pretty close
Yeah.
to in the womb. It's part of the culture, and it's unfortunate that it's not as much of part of the culture especially in Utah. But kind of throughout the US, beer gardens are so fun. And I got to a point in my life where I said, oh, like my guidance counselors failed me. You can actually do this as a job. It is actually a career, not a lucrative one. But if you love science, if you love creativity, it's the perfect balance of the two.
And if you appreciate cleanliness.
Yes. Yeah. If you are a stickler for rules and cleaning and SOPs, like standard operating procedures, we get to write all those out, and I love rules. So
because this is an arts podcast, science and creativity, is that what you said?
Yeah. Especially, it's so great because you have to be creative. Yes, there are, certain rules that you have to follow as far as beer, make sure it ferments, but there is such a creative aspect to brewing. I actually have a flavor thesaurus on my desk.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So like what flavors actually go together? If you're throwing things in beer, is this going to taste good? So the creativity behind it is huge. And then, art, you think about label design, just the whole beer industry is pretty artist centric.
Yeah.
So who are you? What's the best way to word? Who are you drinking right now? Like, who are you? Who's your mentor?
think about that while I let's crack this. This will be the true.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, ready.
Oh, that's pretty good sound.
It had a good right before.
Yeah.
That was good. Okay.
So I know mentors have probably been important to you.
Yeah. So mentors, like obviously Steve Kirkland at Roosters. And then as I've kind of like gotten dialed in my career and figured out where I want my career trajectory to go and like the beers that I really want to make and focus on. Kevin Templin has been great. Kevin Templin, TF Brewing, Colby Frazier at Fisher. Those guys, I always say this, they probably are so annoyed at the amount of times I text them with questions about like, well, what's your process on this? What do you think about this? But I got my first text from Colby about process the other day. And that was, so for me, that was a big thing. So
when the student becomes the teacher.
Yeah.
But that's a good reminder. I did my what's the word when you do time? I feel like I kind of did my time. I worked at Slackwater for a long time. Right? So I worked at Slackwater for a long time. That's where we met. And
did your time.
I worked there for quite some time. And I do know the community of brewers and, well, let's just be honest, even just brew pubs, restaurants, all of that is very tight. And that hasn't changed, has it?
No, nope. And I think it's gotten even tighter. I think with podcasts, social media, all that, it's a lot easier to reach out to people. And, even if you don't have a contact forum, like you hate to say it, but like DM somebody on Instagram. If you have a question, it's like, hey, this is who I am. What do you think about this? So, and that goes outside of Utah too. I have friends that I talk to in Portland, in California, in Seattle about, again, like brewing processes. And it's social media.
Now, I know how much you enjoyed traveling before. Are you still able to do any of that, or is that less now because of the new job?
This past year, 2023 was a little difficult. I still got out on a few river trips, but that was more, we had an aging dog. So it was more related to an aging dog than work schedule. But 2024 is shaping up pretty nicely. So have one guaranteed river permit because I had a rollover, got cancellation, I had a fire rollover from last year. So I have one guaranteed river permit.
Like so we'll all be jealous. Where are you going?
Wait, we didn't roll your boat over.
No, didn't roll. No.
Different kind of rollover.
Different kind of rollover.
The Forest Service rolled my permit date over from 2023 to 24 because they said I could not launch. But I'm doing the Maine salmon in August. So that is a guarantee.
In August.
Yeah.
What is that? Late runoff? What is this?
So last year it would have been this year, I guess. Now I'm already in 2024 mindset. 2023, it would have been perfect because we had such a great water year.
Yeah.
So you will actually see me dancing in my street for snow. I'm like praying to Uller and everyone saying, give us snow.
For August, you're thinking.
Yeah, because snow means that we have good runoff, which means we have good rivers. So.
And your favorite river is?
Oh, man. So the most amazing life-changing river is definitely like the Grand Canyon section of the Colorado. I think everybody says that. But my favorite river, just because it holds a special place in my heart, is Desolation Canyon on that section on the green. So
Did you get married on the river?
I did not. My parents wouldn't let me. I tried. I got, yeah. They thought that my extended family would not appreciate that.
Oh,
I did have one of my best friends did get married at the takeout to the Desolation Canyon section though. So I got to be there, got to experience that, which was really cool.
I was just trying to figure out why that section was so meaningful to you.
My father-in-law was a river ranger on that section for 19 or 20 years. And we still have what we call the ranger text chain. So it's all a bunch of ex-Desolation River Rangers. So
I love it.
Yeah. So I was a volunteer ranger for many years on that section.
So was your husband into the river running, the floating before?
Yeah.
Or is that how you met?
That's how we met pretty much.
How do you do that on a raft to raft? You just like wave, like,
yeah,
hey,
like,
I'll see you at the takeout.
Your eyes meet. Your eyes meet.
Your eyes meet and you're like, I think I like you.
He threw you a beer and that was it.
That was it. I was sold.
Game
Give
over.
me a beer.
Yeah. There's your ticket, Todd. You start tossing beers on the river. Oh
exactly.
My God.
So
Okay.
So he like grew up on rivers. Like literally, I think he did his first river when he was 3 or 4. Wow. He did the San Juan. He has stories about it. But when I moved back to Utah, our friend groups like were kind of connected. So I went on a river trip with him. I think the first summer I moved back. And we like hung out for a bit, disconnected, and then like we're inseparable after a few more river trips. So.
Well, it's got to be nice to not only have that same passion that you love for that on the riverside, but also the extensive history, so that you guys have the same amount of, professionalism on the river. Like the experience on the river, that you can just go do these things together, and
yeah,
and it's fun.
Yeah, it's super fun. We both take river rafting very seriously, but it is our absolute favorite pastime, and he like. Getting to see Connor row the Grand Canyon was like the highlight of probably my life, because he's wanted to do it for so long, and he had really amazing runs. My run's not so great, but we kept the boat upright. So were
you on the same boat?
Yeah, we were on the same boat.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just take turns.
Yeah, just
rowing.
take turns,
Okay.
fight over who gets to row the big ones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Wow, that's wild.
He's a stud on the water.
yeah.
Well, that's what I've heard. He's a stud.
He's a stud on the
didn't
water.
hear on the water part. But yeah.
Oh, you're just gonna leave it at
Just like
that.
that. He's a stud.
That's true
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I'll give you that for
Oh.
sure.
Okay, so Jackie, you've been at OBC for a year. When you walked in, were you overwhelmed, or did you know exactly what you wanted to do?
I knew exactly what I wanted to do, but I was overwhelmed. It was it was a big step up for me. I had been R&D brewing, and you have some responsibility there, but you're not over everything. You're not the end all be all of beer for that company. So coming into this, especially like a fledgling company, a new company, we did take over a space that was already built out. So that was nice that I didn't have to wait for tanks to come in or anything like that. But just kind of planning out what 2024 and 2023 to 2024 looked like was like really overwhelming to start off with. And I think there were a few moments of imposter syndrome there kind of taking effect. And, do I actually know what I'm doing? And then, after about month 3, I realized, no, I know this industry. Like, I know everybody here. I know what people in Utah want. And then, just kind of building up my confidence and realizing that I got this. I know what I'm doing. So.
Now, when you worked with your previous employer, did you take the time? I think you guys went and like worked. Can't you like work with other brewers? Like, didn't you go like collaborate with other brewers and see what they were doing. So you had experience, because Steve's amazing. He's been at Roosters forever, but you do need to reach outside of the place where you brew all the time and see what other people are doing rather than just messaging them on Instagram. I just didn't know if you had a chance to go work with other brewers during
Yep. We had done some collaborations when I was at Roosters. And then on top of that, I had taken a few different brewing courses. I had taken some courses with Siebel Institute out of Chicago. And then the Brewers Association actually started a mentorship program. And that was amazing because my mentors were some of like the biggest names in beer. So like head brewer at Allagash, head brewer at New Belgium. Like it was pretty rad.
That's a good point. I didn't know. So you don't need school. Like you don't need a degree to go brew, right? But it helps to take like courses.
Yeah. And you don't, you do and you don't. It's very helpful now, especially like if you are getting out of high school and like thinking of what you want to do. There are a ton of schools now that offer fermentation science as either a degree or as a minor, or at least classes in it. And I think fermentation science is great. So if you are just starting off, go to college, get a degree, go to one of the trade schools and get a brewing degree. Or if you have the gumption, if you have the dedication, then just, stick your foot in the door and say, I want to work on your canning line and I eventually want to be on the brew deck.
So what you're saying is, because the joke is already there. You just got it. So I drink a lot of beer in college. That means I'm qualified is not the answer. Right.
Sadly, it is not.
Okay.
But how much did you read the label? Did you get to know
and
the
how
brewing
much
process?
Science was involved in how much you drank? Because what you're saying is there's a lot of science. You use the fermentation, whatever. I don't even know. Like you lose. So you have to understand that stuff because it's huge and it is a very precise industry, and it's hardworking and cleanliness too. We keep coming back to that, but I know it's a lot of cleaning.
Yeah, it's a lot of cleaning with dangerous chemicals too.
Okay, so you've been doing this for a long time. I'm just gonna say it because this maybe be a fun story. Maybe it won't be for you. I want to hear about your favorite brewing fuck up. I just want to say,
man,
yeah. How do you
because
do
you can lose a
definitely
lot of what's the word, ingredients in a bad batch.
Oh no, you totally I've had to dump beer before. Like I've had to dump an entire batch of beer before. Fortunately not at my current job, but there are so many things that can go wrong, and it can 1,000% be your fault. Maybe you didn't clean something enough.
So not bad hops. It's
nope.
Okay.
It can be user error. Maybe your SOPs weren't there. Your tank wasn't clean enough. You overstressed the yeast. Yeast is a living thing. If you try and pitch it when it's too old, it does weird things. Or simple things, though. Like the one time I'm thinking of is we had a sensor go out on a tank, and you normally cool things. You have to keep things at a happy temperature. When beer ferments, it creates heat. So we have glycol that surrounds those fermenters you see, and it keeps everything where you want it. Well, if that sensor fails and your beer gets really, really hot, it tastes like green apples or Band-Aid or a weird combo
Band-Aid
of both.
Flavored beer.
Yeah.
Man.
And nobody wants that. So as a brewer, we don't drink, we sample a lot of warm, young beer. And everyone's like, oh, it's so cool. You get to drink on the job. We drink gross beer. It's nothing that anybody would want.
Uncarbonated.
Warm, semi-sweet throughout the fermentation stages. But you can catch it as soon as you taste that, or, we saw this beer, it was during summer, it went to 90 degrees. It tasted like green apples and Band-Aids. It was awful.
I'll be honest, I'm craving a little Band-Aid beer.
You want some
now.
Band-Aid beer?
That's
green apple this time of the year sounds kind of good. But we're talking like a sip probably, and not the sheer volume that is produced in one of those.
But you're not, you won't be a good brewer if you aren't afraid to dump a batch of beer. Yes, it's awful because it's money, it's labor, but there's no way you can put that out.
How do you try new things? Because you're not at home. You don't have this little brewery. And also I heard it's really hard to upsize. In other words, if you do a small batch, it's not a 1-to-1 on is that right too? So then how do you test, and then how do you turn that test batch into, okay, this is, because man, I know in my life, it's like, especially like with cooking or anything, it takes a long time to get it just right. So how do you do that?
It definitely does. The stage that I'm at now in my career, you kind of pick up on how to write recipes. You know what ingredients are going to make something this color, what ingredient is going to do this. And for us, like this beer, the beer that we're drinking now, was never the same beer for the first 7 months. So you're writing a recipe that you think will work, and then it's subtle tweaks. Okay, well, like I don't love the quality of this Pilsner malt, or should we add this to it? I didn't hit my pH.
Do you
I
have
need to
people
do
who
this.
know this, that they can tell? They're like, hey, this beer tastes different?
I think there definitely are people out there. I think that we have some trained palates for sure. This beer, most of the changes were subtle enough. It was just basically changing the company that supplied the Pilsner malt. We added a different malt in there that's a little bit lighter. It's called a Heidelberg malt. So we added that and Pilsner malt to this, and then just basically changed the amount of hops until we got it dialed to what we wanted. So, and I think that's kind of what it is. It's all on this scale of things. You have to know what's going to make a good beer, or a drinkable beer at least, and then just dialing it in on every recipe. And don't be afraid to change recipes. If you're getting feedback that, hey, like this is too bitter, I'm all about I really am all about awards and competitions too. So even in our first year, we sent beers to Great American Beer Fest, up to the International Beer and Cider Awards, and just like consuming those notes and going over all of it and talking to my friends about, hey, this is the beer, these are the notes, what do you guys think would make this beer better? So
it's kind of what we've done with the shows a little bit. If we get comments that it's gotten too bitter, which let's be honest, we both get kind of bitter. Like you do something for a long time.
Yeah.
You want to try to keep it fresh.
Bitter
so
AF.
Notes are important to us.
Yeah.
But also change is important to us as well.
Yeah.
So we do that every now and again.
Oh, I think we need to be more bitter. I think we just need to
bring
back some of the bitterness.
I think it's time maybe bring back a little bit more bitterness.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking back at 2023, because we're getting close to the end of the year, your favorite proprietary beer, obviously from where you work, and then just your favorite beer of the year outside of that.
Ooh,
good question.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Favorite proprietary beer. Again, we talk about all like subtle changes, everything. I have two. Well, they're both kind of the same. So favorite beer that is entirely ours, 1851, which is our American craft lager. Also the year Ogden is founded, in case anybody has questions about that. But we kept changing up the malt and the hops on that, and I think it's really dialed in, really, really good. And then my favorite beer of 2023 in general, just because I'm all lager heavy, we did a collab with Fisher Brewing.
Oh, nice.
And it was called Meanwhile in Ogden, because I think sometimes the Salt Lake folks forget about what happens up here. What
happens up here stays up here.
Yeah. Don't come to Ogden.
I like that name.
It's so great. But that beer was so good.
So is that just a one batch or one off? Or?
It was, but in 2023, it is. We have permission from Fisher to can it. So that will be a canned collaboration releasing sometime in the spring.
Is that in your barrels? Oh, what barrels?
Yeah. Yep. So we brewed the first and only batch that we did up in Ogden, and it was so good. Everybody from Fisher had such a fun time doing it. And that was the beer that I craved when I was like, oh, I want a Meanwhile in Ogden. So for me, that tells me.
I love that name.
Yeah, it's so good.
What makes a good beer? So this is like I watch the dog shows. All these dogs look great to me. I don't know. One of them wins. I don't know how they figured this out.
There's some uglies.
There's different types of breeds. Okay, you might not be in love with those breeds, but there's some different kinds of beers that maybe some people like and some people don't like. But when you send these to the festivals? I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, the competitions.
The competitions, like these people with the right palates to taste. What are they looking for? And then what makes a good beer?
So it's kind of exactly what you were saying. It's like a double-edged sword, right? So like at its core, a good beer for a brewery is going to be one that is drinkable and is a workhorse and sells like hotcakes. Like that is what you want as a brewery, because it will build or break your brewery. So you need a good beer that people like. Like
maybe like Sierra Nevada that has like one beer that does 99% of the liquid.
Yeah. I mean, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Like you ask anybody about Sierra Nevada, I would bet 90% of people are going to be like, oh yeah, pale ale.
Pale ale,
And they're not going to,
They don't know
they don't know
they
anything
brew.
else.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you need that beer. Now, like talking about competitions, it's exactly like a dog show. It is a set of standards that is, I mean, it's, I think 120 categories, maybe 190 categories, 120, I think for
That's a lot.
GABF. And each one has stylistic guidelines from color, bitterness, alcohol, what it should taste like, carbonation, how clear it is. So it exactly is, set standards. How well does your beer fit into this set standard? So again, like competitions are cool. I want that recognition from my peers in the industry. I want somebody to be like, yes, you are making good beer that is stylistically correct. But I mean, medals don't pay your bills. So
But do medals help sell more beer?
They do. So they definitely do. Unless you find that golden horse, like the Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Mhm.
If you find that one beer that just resonates with people and really hits it hard, you don't need any medals. But I do think that medals help sell beer. So
Well, it helps sell podcasts.
yeah.
I'll tell you.
Well, you guys are you're the most award-winning podcasters I know.
Damn straight we are.
Damn
my
straight
gosh.
we are. I like the sound of that.
Oh,
funny.
that's fantastic.
Plus, I'm sure just like the dog show too, it comes down to who's judging that category that
Mhm.
year.
Well,
That's-
I didn't want to bring politics into it, but let's bring politics into it. That's because I think the same thing in the dog show. I'm like, how in the hell? There's no way. How did Biffy, whatever, win again? So as how do the tasters avoid the favoritism and all that or is there just no way? You just got to trust the judges and stuff.
So everything is done blind. I've judged beer
Okay, there
before.
you go.
I actually have everything in to judge at GABF, so hopefully that'll happen in the next few years. But everything is done entirely blind, and the only notes you get are if it is a beer that has ingredients or like sub styles, and somebody will tell you it's this beer with this, and like maybe you'll get this as the intention. But
So does it matter what order? So if there's 5 beers, you want to be last? Like what? Like where do you want to be?
if you're in an IPA, which still we're talking about beer trends too. IPAs are still the number one category of beer in all of your competitions. Number one entered beer, like largest category. If you're in there as an IPA, I would say you want to be 1 through maybe even 3. Like you want to be in the very beginning because as great of a judge as you are, all of those hops and all the bitterness is going to eventually blow out your palate. So unless there are like obvious defects in the beer, if you make a good beer and you're at the end of the line with other people that made a good beer, you're probably not going to get pushed through.
Do you use ginger? Like what do you use to cleanse the palate in between beers?
So crackers, water, and then your own scent. So when you're judging, you can't wear.
I just smell myself.
Yeah, no, you really do. You smell yourself. So you shouldn't have absolutely no perfume, no scented lotion. Even you want to not have some crazy smelling deodorant. As a female, you want no makeup on whatsoever because cosmetics also have smells and scents to it. So it's
This
super
is wild.
serious. Yeah. It's crazy.
A
Beer
room,
judging.
a
is
room
super-
full of stinky judges.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my goal.
Yeah, and we're a bunch of brewers, so we're used to being really sweaty too. So it's it can be a little
Oh,
interesting.
See,
I don't know if I want to be in that room, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would submit, but okay, what is your dream beer to brew? Because
Oh,
you
man.
had the Pink Boots thing.
Yeah.
Right? You can talk about that too.
Oh man. So actually, my dream beer to brew in 2024 is going to be the Pink Boots beer. So we're brewing it at Ogden Beer Company, and to our knowledge and to Pink Boots Society Nationals knowledge, we will be submitting the first Pink Boots beer to World Beer Cup.
Oh.
So first chapter brew, I
Yeah.
should say. So the Utah chapter brew is happening in February, and we will be submitting that beer to World Beer Cup. It'll release March 8th, which is International Women's Day, and the next week that beer is getting sent to Colorado to be judged, and World Beer Cup awards are in Vegas the next month. So I mean, it's pretty big. So that is the dream brew.
Do you know what kind of brew it's going to be?
Yes.
Okay. You're not
it's-
allowed to tell?
No, I can tell you.
Okay.
It's a very long-winded So it is an American Belgio style beer, which is basically just a Belgian style with American hops. And then it is a subcategory of a session style Belgian blonde. So it'll be perfect.
Did you get that? Yeah, I got it.
I know. that's what
I
I'm
recognize
saying.
most of that.
Yeah.
I recognize most.
Yeah.
I sold
Belgian
beer for a long
blondes, that's
time.
all I got.
Yeah, Belgian blonde with American hops is like
There
the
you go.
easiest way to say it.
Okay.
But it'll be nice. It'll be perfect for spring, just as an easy drinking, kind of little bit clovey, not too bubblegummy, but nice, light, easy.
Where do you
drinking
buy your
beer.
hops?
We buy our hops from a lot of different manufacturers. Most of ours come from the Pacific Northwest and Idaho.
Mhm.
So kind of local.
Okay. Yeah. Does it matter where you, or does it taste, the water changes the flavor of the hops? Like what, does it matter? Can you
It
tell like,
totally
these are Idaho
does.
hops?
So Cascade is one of my favorites, just as like a comparison, because Cascades are super common. They're used in a bunch of pale ales, IPAs. You can even use them in hoppy lagers, but traditionally grown Pacific Northwest. If you grow them in Michigan, they take on like this pineapple flavor, which is super nice. And then they also
Pineapple in Michigan. That's
right,
interesting. Yeah.
interesting. But it's the soil, water, everything. Then you grow those hops, same Cascade hops, same genetically, like exactly the same genetically as Pacific Northwest in New Zealand, and they taste like Sprite. It's like lemon lime. It's crazy. So
What? So let's put you in a room with a bunch of brewers. Okay? And what in the hell do you guys talk about? Like, because
Oh my God,
I feel
it's-
like you know so much.
it's so boring.
Like, what's the tea right now? Like, what's the common thread now that you're talking? Because you mentioned there's been a shift sort of in the industry. So when you guys get together, what are you talking about?
Do you
Distributing?
talk about what's trending? See, I'm interested in what's sort of
Yeah.
trending because I remember this would have been 2015-ish was my height of my Slackwater days, 2016, something like that, And it was, the beers, they just were so complicated. They were so complicated to describe. They were so complex when you tried to taste one. If you didn't immediately just spit it out, if you didn't know what you were drinking, it was for beer drinkers. It seems like there were so many beers that were for this level of beer drinking, and it wasn't just for your every man drinking, And so I love that you're throwing around lagers and some of these ones that are just enjoyable to drink without being
Mhm.
overly complicated.
yeah.
And so I'm not setting up the answer by any means, but I'm curious where we're at because it seemed like there was a long spell where the beers were very complicated. And I don't know if that's the right way to say that, but it sure felt like that.
Oh no, it totally is. When you like lactose, milkshake, sour, IPA, barrel aged, adjunct stout, all this stuff. I mean, there was
It was not easy to sell beer
Yeah,
in Slack.
yeah.
I
Oh
don't know
my
what you were
God,
doing.
yeah.
Yeah, and super expensive too. And now it's the light, easy drinking. We talk about trends all the time as brewers. We talk about if anybody has had like a new process change, they're like, oh my gosh, I tried this. Or have you tried this yeast? There are new yeast strains coming out. So it gets really nerdy, but it's fun.
I'm glad that you're able to do that with your
Are there
peers.
some good like brewer jokes, inside jokes?
Oh my
that you're
gosh.
always-
The funniest brewer jokes are like, how do you make $1 million with starting a brewery?
Okay, how?
Start with 2 million. So,
Oh!
so that's kind of,
Wow.
yeah.
That's like podcasting. That's wonderful. I love that.
So that's kind of just like
Okay.
those.
Well, there's a lot of fresh brewers that are like, oh shit, that's not good.
Yeah.
But then how do you actually get footing and how do you get distribution and grow? Because so there's four brewers in Ogden.
Yeah.
And then so, what would be the steps necessary, I guess, if one wanted to be like nationally known or something?
I think at this stage to be nationally recognized, it definitely is. It's the quality of your beer, and to a certain extent, it's the awards that you're winning. TF is the perfect example. Those guys down there, guys and gals, made like 4 or 5 national news accounts basically this year, and it's all because of awards. They had an almost perfect score on one of their beers in craft beer and brewing. So it's just like making really, really clean beer and then sending it out to the people that write about beer. for national recognition.
And then
Or
they say we had an almost perfect score, and then
Yeah.
everybody buys their beer.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, it feeds back, and it's crazy. You'll see people fly into Salt Lake, and they'll be like, "Had to stop at TF." So part of it is that, or again, just like finding that amazing beer, like finding that beer that can go national. And I think you do, when you're talking about that, you just have to pick a beer and kind of put your whole brand behind it. And we've seen that beer industry. You've seen like Howdy Beer, which is the Western Pilsner, Heidelberg beer up out of Seattle. Like there are people that are really pushing single brands, trying to make like a national name of it.
So I know, because I'm behind, Todd. I'm with you. Like I'm about 4 years behind the beer trends or whatever. But when the hottest beer at the time for a few years was Melvin, right? They were doing everything right. And then so who's trending in that direction now? Is it TF or is it like somebody? Because Melvin was out of Jackson, but who in the West is trending pretty hot right now?
Well, I think like TF does great.
Besides you.
Because obviously Ogden Beer Company.
Yeah.
So I definitely think TF they make amazing lagers, really good IPAs. But Roadhouse up out of Jackson bought out Melvin. And Roadhouse has been doing a bunch of collabs. They've been doing really, really great with IPAs. But it seems like most of the popular IPAs are coming out of Denver again, which unfortunately we can't get here. We can get Melvin beer. We can get Roadhouse beer. They're both fantastic. But
why can't we get Denver beer?
Well, we can't buy Denver beer in Utah, I should say. Like breweries in Denver, in Utah. So it's very...
But we can buy Jackson beer?
Yeah, because for whatever reason, Roadhouse and Melvin distributes to Utah, but all these little breweries in Denver that are putting out like these killer IPAs,
I knew there was tension between Utah and Colorado. Now it's proven.
It's the snow. They're jealous of
Yeah.
our snow.
It's got to be true.
I know.
Yeah.
And we're jealous of their weed. So it's kind of a mix back and forth. It's a trade. It's a trade.
So they're holding out on their beer. They're like, well, screw it. We're going to hold our beer.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. They're holding their beer hostage.
That's
hell.
funny.
All right.
So basically what she's saying is that the way to land a successful beer is to buy a successful beer company.
Yes.
That's it. That is already
Good
won
job,
the
Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Shit.
No, I mean, it's still doable. Just, attention to detail and like pushing out
quality
really
product.
Quality product.
Quality
Yeah.
product.
See, I love that.
Quality podcast, quality product.
We're going to buy a
Yeah.
quality. We're going to buy a podcast.
We already did. We absorbed all the good shows in town. Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right, Jack, I bet you could talk brewing forever, too.
It's boring. I apologize.
Yes. Well, anything else that we miss?
Well, we'll bring you back on another episode to talk
Yeah, at least
liquor
like
laws.
Next week, even.
I would love to have a good refresher on liquor laws. That would be a great show.
We have a lot of changes that have happened too. So
Especially, I was
how the
getting
hell do you
excited
keep
about
up?
the Olympics coming up, and I know that's down the lines, but the amount of change that happened for us in 2002, I foresee the possibility of change when we get closer to that time.
yeah, well, I mean, look at NBA All-Star Weekend, pop-up liquor stores.
That is a
happened
really-
just for that. So
That's a really good point.
yeah, we have things happening, good things. It'll happen.
So we'll chat about that later.
Thanks, Jackie, so
Yeah.
much. And congrats. On
Yeah,
Head
congrats on the
Brewer.
new
It's a
job.
big
Thank
deal.
you. Yeah,
1 year is that's a great mark.
I made it.
It made it to
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it means you're that much harder to replace.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when I hit a year, and it was just a few months ago. I hit a year with my job, and I'm like, all right, good luck replacing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't replace Todd after a year.
Yeah.
You know how much effort goes into that first year of a new employee, especially if it's like a leadership type position.
You got to learn all the
Very hard.
things.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
Yeah. That's why all my passwords are mine. They
Yeah.
can't get to them, right? Like,
Brandon knows something about that. That's brilliant.
That's funny.
Oh, I love that. That's
my
great.
God. Yeah. All right. So, how do we support you, Jackie, and everything that you do? Just buy the beer, right?
yeah,
Go
buy
down
the
to-
beer.
Yeah.
Hit up the location. We're on 358 Park Boulevard. It's gorgeous.
You know what? Nothing else around there is open anymore. You just go right to the beer company.
Just go to the beer company. Yeah. Just hit us up. Our patio is open year round. So if you are willing to bundle up on a warm day, you can have your dogs out on the patio. Follow us on social media. It's Ogden Beer Company on Instagram and Ogden Beer Company on Facebook. And then
Is there a good pairing we should ask for when we go in there?
Ooh, yeah. So we just released this. It's a red cerveza. So it's not sweet. It has no caramel malt in it, so it's not going to be like that caramely, roasty. It's like it tastes like bread crust is the best way to describe it. So think of like a Mexican lager with a hint of bread crust in it, and then it's red in color.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. But I think that paired with almost anything on the menu, especially like the turkey bacon avocado sandwich, because that's my favorite. It's fantastic.
Okay. There you go.
So
Now you know where to go and what to get.
yeah.
Todd.
You guys kill me. That description was brilliant. Bread crust. And it's probably spot on, but it's just those descriptions. I'm like, come on. But then you have your first sip and you're like,
You're going to go in there to taste it and be like,
You're like,
effing bread crush. She was right. She was totally right.
oh, that's so funny.
Todd, do you have arts news at all?
Quick reminder, my gallery down in Salt Lake City, Finch Lane Gallery, the current exhibition
It's Todd's
is,
gallery, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one that I direct. And there's a current show. It's called, I can't remember the full name of it.
It's my
There's
favorite
a
part
group
when
called
Todd can't remember the name of show
Oaxaca
that's
in Utah.
Okay.
And then Oaxaca. That's a location in Mexico.
Oaxaca.
Right. So Oaxaca in Utah has put together this amazing show showing these 8 regions of Oaxaca. And so it has been going on for 2 weeks and a couple weeks, 2 weeks and a couple days, I should say. And so that goes through January 5th. And
It makes
so,
sense 2 weeks and a couple weeks, but 2 weeks and a couple days.
Shut up. Words.
Or, I know some days they come,
And so the first Friday of January, I believe, is January 5th. Does that sound right? Or 3rd, 4th? Anyway, first Friday of January is the final show.
I think it's the 4th.
Come check that out. Try to split your night between Ogden Van Sessions and Salt Lake City.
Yeah, you might.
Finch Lane
Are you planning
Gallery.
to bail on Van Sessions?
I might have to on
Okay.
this one because I missed the opening on that. But do come check it out. Otherwise, it's a little quiet right now because of these next couple of weeks. So
Weird. I
there's
mean,
a holiday coming up.
or two. Okay.
I believe it's 6 days out, and so that's
Okay.
mostly what the focus is.
Okay. Well, very good. Let me get you the snow report. Well, everybody knows it hasn't snowed a whole hell of a lot recently, but Nordic is open, so that's good. Nordic opened. They're sitting at a 20-inch base, which is enough to ski on,
Nice.
snowboard on. Powder Mountain's at a 31-inch base, and again, none of these resorts have had anything in the last 48 hours, so there's that. Let's see. Snowbird that's 38-inch base, Solitude 31, Sundance 25, Woodward 16. Woodward has less than Nordic, which how about that? Nordic's bragging on that one. Cherry Peak, no base. Cherry Peak is not doing well. Brighton 34, Beaver 35, Alta 54 up there at Alta.
Yeah.
So where's Basin? How did I miss Basin? I am scrolling. There we go. 38 at Basin. So
get above the smog. I think
Go-
that's the goal
Yeah.
for everybody.
yeah, hit the groomers, give them some money, get some beer. When do you get beer up there at the places?
Our
like that?
beer is at Snow Basin.
Hell yeah.
We have
Yeah.
beer on draft at Snow Basin.
There
So
we
go to
go.
Snow Basin.
Slim,
Oh,
slim.
congrats
Yeah.
on that. That's great.
Okay. The big news was that Snow Basin announced the Demoisy Express opened today, which is Tuesday, December 19th, I believe. So the new Demoisy Express is now open. Head over to the base of Strawberry to be part of the opening. Oh, that was today. Never mind. Pfft. Take a few laps.
I hope you had a good time.
Hope you had
Yeah.
fun. I saw pictures.
Nice.
They posted some pictures. Brand new high-speed 6-pack.
Oh yeah.
6-pack.
6-pack.
Which, by the way, the logoing is, come on now. And that's a seagull.
Not a penguin.
Not a penguin. Let's see if we can get, seagull, not a penguin.
Effing
on that.
seagulls.
Effing seagulls.
Effing seagulls.
Let's see. Along with the grand opening came a debut of the new Strawberry patio. The patio is a huge upgrade with full food service and plenty of space to rest your weary legs before returning to the slopes. Thanks, Snow Basin.
So I'll tell you all about it. Right after this show, I'm headed down to Salt Lake to Bravenel Hall to see. Do you know sometimes they pair? I don't know if you've had the chance to see. They pair a movie with the live symphony, right? And so I had the fortune to see. This was several years ago. My favorite movie of all time is Raiders of the Lost Ark. To see that with the symphony, where it essentially would play the score behind it, right? And it's such a fun way to watch a movie. But tonight is a Christmas classic, at least for some of us, called Love Actually, and so
I love that movie.
That's such a
It's
good.
one
I
of my
love it.
favorite films.
The one thing that I am so excited to get back to you next week on is the fact that they are showing a PG-13 version of this movie that we all know very well. And this is a Christmas classic that is very R-rated.
So I forgot. I mean, I
it is very
It's
R-rated.
very R-rated.
So I know, but meaning like I remember if you haven't seen it, there's a scene where, well, there's a couple scenes actually where
Two of the best characters.
Yeah.
That's how they meet.
yeah,
That's their little meet cute.
their job is they're stand-ins for porn, essentially.
Yeah.
And
No,
so
these are for higher class movies, but sex scenes for sure. Because one of them has
it was,
stood in for Brad Pitt.
Very okay.
Yeah.
In the show.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. So then I'm watching it with like our kids, and the scene comes on. I'm all, oh shit, this is not good. Like, you got guys eyes cover, because I forgot, because
Your kids are like, we've seen this 7 times, Dad.
well, you guys have watched
Saw this
every
before
year
you did.
since- I know.
Yeah.
Because and then I remember recommending it to some of my LDS friends, and for that I now apologize, because I do. I'm like, oh my god, there were some very.
I'm glad
It's
you
very
did.
R-rated. Yeah.
Welcome to the world, people.
Because I remember thinking like, well, there's that one scene where they're like, okay, they're reenacting sex, but how about come on, it's like, it's obviously a joke because they're in, they're standing.
I just don't know how you're going to PG-13 eyes those scenes and the
You
scenes
cut
with
'em.
Bill Nye. But then the characters are gone from the movie.
Well,
Yeah.
man,
So,
that's
I'll
The
let you
whole
know next week.
storyline,
I'm
yeah.
curious.
Yeah. yeah, well, because that's tonight. That's right now.
Because some of my favorite, hour and a half. And so some of my favorite experiences are TV versions of very R-rated movies, right? And so looking back,
There's got to be a club for that.
oh yeah,
somewhere.
plus looking back pre-streaming services, sometimes that was the only way we could see these movies,
Yeah.
or basically the TV edited versions of them, right? And
Yeah.
so I remember seeing
Well,
the
Clean
TV
Flicks?
edited version, kind of like a Clean Flicks type thing, yeah.
Is
of,
that a thing?
Oh,
It was.
Well, it
and maybe
was.
it is. I don't
Yeah.
know. There's always some
Well,
version of it out
they
there.
didn't get the proper approval from Hollywood to edit films.
I think it's called
Ooh.
just stealing shit.
Yeah.
I think is
Yeah.
what that is. But Die Hard 2 TV, and where they just dub over the words. They don't bleep them out or anything. They just dub over them, where instead of whatever they say socks, instead of, oh, you got to watch this show. Oh my gosh. I'm looking up a clip of it, and we're going to try to share it if we can.
Wait, what do you
next week.
mean? Like all shows, or just Die
Die
Hard
Hard
2?
2.
Die Hard
So-
2 cleaned up version to
Okay,
show on
okay,
TV.
Okay.
Their way of dealing with that was not cutting all of the scenes. It was simply redubbing over the swear words with words that really don't make sense at all to it, right?
So it's almost like Asian dubs, kind of, Asian movie, karate.
I guess,
whatever,
yeah, to
kung
some
fu
degree,
movie
yeah.
dubs. Okay.
Yeah, where it doesn't fit the story and it deflates everything, that because they're getting really worked up and talking about something, and what comes out of their mouth is like very, very PG, right?
Yeah.
And so
Oh, I need to see
Like,
this.
you ducking balloon monster.
yes,
And- okay.
exactly.
I hope they
Coming
actually
from
say
John
that.
McClane. Yeah, exactly. But I'll have to tell you about Love Actually next week, so I'll let
Okay.
you know
Yeah.
about that
Oh, so it's with the symphony.
with the symphony tonight. Yeah,
Good luck.
It should
Have
be fun.
I'm
Yeah, it
jealous.
should be fun.
I'm jealous. Have fun. Okay, well, Jackie, thank you so much for joining us. Well, I guess I should look at the notes here. Take us out. Thank you to Band Union 1. That's this awesome 1960 trailer we're sitting in for powering today's episode of the Ogden Arts and Adventure Show. Listen and subscribe to Ogden Arts and Adventure on YouTube under the same name. Look for us on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and thebandingcollective.com. If you want to be on the show, we take requests, but we also reserve the right to tell you to take a hike, I guess. I don't know. We haven't yet, but pretty much everyone just let on. Hit us up on Instagram at Ogden Adventure. That would be me at Ogden Adventure, and we'll invite you on the show. This week's Outdoor Jukebox, Die for a Drink. I don't know, man. I don't know what they were drinking, the Snarlin. I don't know what they were smoking, the Snarlin yarns. I don't know what they.
I love them
But
so
they,
much.
oh my God, they brought all the energy. So this was the new concert series in town, Locals Rock, and so they came on Locals Rock, Snarling Yarns, Locals Rock van sessions at the Monarch, and this is Die for a Drink, as recorded on the Locals Rock van sessions on YouTube. We'll see you on the next Ogden Arts and Adventure Show.
The breaking will break you, beautiful bend up in you. There's not a big enough belt to suspend you. Hey, darling, it's worse than you think. Oh my God, I died for a drink. Well, it could be champagne, but it might be shampoo. A couple of IPAs, a couple more IOUs. Bartender!
Set him up, Joe.
Fill mine to the brink. Oh my God, I'm gonna die for a drink. Yeah. But God said, yo, yodelay, yodelay. He said, yo, yodelay, yodelay. Soon enough, he's driving his fast car all the way down to the Redneck Riviera. We're talking about North Florida. I hope you never go there, but you can find a sweet little piece of land. Find you a little pocket gopher, one of those gopher turtles. Oh, those gopher turtles. They might be something you could lose yourself in. Mr. Hank went down to Pensacola to lose himself in 41 beers, 71 beers, 88 beers, 97 beers, 113 beers. Now he's in the kitchen looking for a beer. Now he's in the bathroom peeing that beer. Now he's in the yard barfing that beer. Now he's in the little study farting the beer. What will come of Hank? I can tell you, I'm prescient ever since 1952. He died January 1, long ago. But in every jukebox you can find, Pharaoh Hank, Pharaoh Hank, Pharaoh Hank. Alcohol and heartache all running down your leg. Diabetes, it'll never get you laid. You need therapy. The way to the Kings. You really got me now. You really got me now. Oh my God, you died for a drink. Yeah. Well, it's shaking and
Terminal Lake, we're feeling like the frosted flakes. You know the entire watershed is on the take, and that Great Salt Lake, woo, that water really stinks. Oh my God, I said, oh my God, I say it again. Oh my glob, we're gonna die. We're gonna die. Yeah, we're gonna die. Remember that drought? For a dream. Ow, don't you let it happen to you. Drink up, Utah.
Yes.